Example 3, we are going to simplify the following expressions and write the answer as a single radical. In part A, we have the product of the cube root of 5 and the 8 root of the 5. We're going to combine them. So first, we're going to write each one as the rational exponent. The cube root of 5 is the same as 5 to the power 1 over 3. The 8 root of 5 is the same as 5 to the power 1 over 8. And then we use the property that a to the power m times a to the power n equals a to the power m plus n. That means for this case, we are going to combine the powers 1 over 3 and 1 over 8 together. On the side note, when you add these two fractions, we find the common denominator, which is 24. And then multiply the first fraction by 8 over 8. Multiply the second one by 3 over 3. So we get the result as 11 over 24. So the power simplified to be 5 to the power 11 over 24. And we're going to write as a single radical. 11 is the power, 24 is the index of the root. So then we can write it as 24 as the index, or the 24th root of 5 to the 11th power. In part B, we are going to simplify the product of the fourth root of x to the 6 and the cube root of x to the power 10. First, write the x to the 6 as the product of x to the fourth and x to the second. Similar to x to the 10, we're going to write it as the cube root of x to the third times x to the third times x to the third times x to the first power. And then use the property that the n root of a to the n equals absolute value a for n as an even number. On the other hand, the n root of a to the n equals a for n as an odd number. So we have 4 as the even and 3 as the odd index. So we're going to use different properties for each factor or for each variable. So we got that absolute value of x times the fourth root of x to the second. And then for each x to the third, we take the cube root, it becomes just x. So x times x times x times x can be x to the third power times the cube root of x as a result. In part C, we're going to simplify the cube root of negative 8 times x to the fifth plus 3 times x times the cube root of x squared. The cube root of negative 8 times x to the fifth is the same as the cube root of negative 8 times the cube root of x to the fifth. And then for the second term, there is no change because the power 2 is lower than the index 3. So we keep it the way it is. Next, we keep simplifying. The cube root of x to the fifth, write it as the cube root of x to the third times x to the second, where the cube root of negative 8 resulting in the term negative 2. Now we get negative 2 times x times the cube root of x squared, and then plus 3x times the cube root of x squared. It turns out to be like terms as we have the same radical for both terms. So then we just treat them like we add like terms. So this becomes the negative 2x plus 3x with the common factor, the cube root of x to the second. Negative 2x plus 3x simplified to be just 1x. So then we have x times the cube root of x to the second as a result, or the simplified term of part C.